Welcome, everyone, to the third edition of FBBC Live. I'm AJ, we got JB in the building, and today we are welcoming a special guest, one of the top coaches in the Pro League MPC right now, Trey Hodge. How are you doing, my brother?
Doing great, buddy. How about you?
Nice to have you on our show. First of all,
definitely a pleasure to be here.
We are going to have the Chicago Pro wrap-up, everyone listening. And before we go into the Chicago wrap-up, Trey Hodge, he's the coach of Monique Jones, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit how you started to work with her and when that was and your relationship.
Well, me and Monique, we've known each other for almost 12 years now. And we pretty much met in the gym, became good friends. And then she was being coached by Dave Palumbo. She was also sponsored by Species Nutrition. But her and I got together, started working out together a little bit for about 2 or 3 years. And then when she, when Species kind of finished out her contract, she, of course, was in need of a prep coach at the time. So since she knew me, she trusted me for a while. And at that time, I was already coaching Charles Dixon, who's a 212 pro. So I went ahead, took her prep over. Our first actual true pro show together was the Chicago Pro when she, I want to say it was 2000 and maybe 13. I want to say it might have been 2013. So we've done probably about a dozen plus shows since then. Couple of wins, couple of victories. Probably our biggest one to this day, I always, me and her both agree, was Romania, because she had just had a 2.5 year break and wasn't sure about coming back to the stage. Romania became available as a show. She was getting the want to compete again. So we picked that show. We ended up prepping for about 24 weeks for that show, and probably still one of her best looks today, I think, was Romania Pro.
JB, we were there. The female bodybuilding channel was down in Romania.
2018,
yeah. What did you think about Monique Jones down in Romania?
Clearly win, I would say. Yeah. She was very impressive when you see her in real life, and very humble. On stage, very present. She rocked the stage. She came out and then she was there, and so you could definitely see her posing experience and so on. And she took it. So
It was a straight beatdown, I would say.
Yeah, you could say.
JB, can you? Yeah.
That was working.
I
was
working.
Working.
Last thing then. So this Olympia, Miss Olympia, Trey, this is a big one, huh? This is a really big one. I'm predicting Irene Anderson, Andrea, Iris, I think will be in the top 6. What improvements has Monique done to be able to win it or be very high amongst those? What has
Honestly,
improved?
She's definitely, we've improved the lower body department, which is the one area we've really wanted to focus on since we did Phoenix this past year. So really been hammering that a lot more. Trying to do is also keep her healthy. So she's been getting like deep tissue work, cupping work done every 2 weeks now, focusing on lower body, keeping up with like stretching. I'm even been doing Graston work on her, which is tissue, breaking down tissue a little bit with her about every 2 weeks as well. Training volume has been pretty high. We try to incorporate a lot more lower body specific training. So really the focus this year has been lower body. The funniest thing is with Monique and how her body is, her back development is actually more developed now than it's ever been. It's just crazy. She's just one of those people that her back is just such a strong point that she gets, even we were doing check-ins last week and doing some video check-ins like I was in person, and just the detail she has in her back already is just astounding. And of course, so she's holding a little bit more size in her back, so I feel like this might be the biggest she's been, but possibly probably the best shape she's had. So I'm excited to see it. We've got inside 7 weeks till Phoenix, and then Olympia 2 weeks after.
7.5 weeks.
So
yeah.
So we're looking at our first big shot. Of course, we're going to come in with all we got into Phoenix, and then, like I said, we're just whatever we need to do for 2 weeks going to Olympia. We'll just do what we got to do to get ready for Olympia as well. So,
last thing before we go into the wrap up, tell us a little bit more about, because you have two athletes. We're going to talk about women's bodybuilding first in our wrap up, and then we're going to talk a little bit about women's physique. Tell us a little bit more about the. Athlete who used to do women's physique. Her name is Sheena. What's her last name?
Mm-hmm. Sheena Olig.
So tell us about. She chose women's bodybuilding for this event. I heard she's doing women's physique. I think. Tell us a little bit more why you chose her for the women's bodybuilding class, and tell us about if she's happy with the results.
First off, she definitely was ecstatic just to be able to break into a top 10. I think it was ended up being 21 female bodybuilders. So, for her to get, originally, I think she was in the first call out, but then she got bumped in the second. And she ended up placing 9th was her final placing. But all in all, she was excited, very new, fresh division for her. She's one of those physiques that can go either way, I feel. Of course, with bodybuilding, the biggest critique we got, which was from like Sean Ray and even Alina and Linda Murray, was probably just more size, which, that's fixable. But as far as they loved her lines, they loved her look. She's a very pretty woman, very graceful on the stage. She does bring I feel like a breath of fresh air to bodybuilding too, for women's bodybuilding. So, but we are actually for the Rising Phoenix, since of course, it's only invite with bodybuilding. We are going to go back to physique. We're going to scale her weight down more. So we're probably going to drop her another 8 to 10 pounds for the Rising Phoenix show. But like I said, she does have a look that can go either way. Now, after this season, we did say we'll talk, and we might end up still switching, solely to bodybuilding for 2021. So, but we'll kind of play that by ear, see how she does in Phoenix.
Okay.
And then we'll make that choice after Phoenix show.
JB,
yeah,
we're going into our favorite class. So we have the women's bodybuilding class, last qualification opportunity for this historic Miss Olympia. We had a lot of girls coming in, 21 girls. We had on paper, I would say Teresa was one of the favorites coming in because she got an impressive 6th at the Rising, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we had, I would say, Rashana Dawson was one of the favorites coming in because she's placed a 2nd and a 3rd so far this season, and she could have also been a spot higher, in my opinion, in one of those shows, but that's for another story. But and a 3rd on the list we were looking at before the show was Tina Williams. And JB, what was the person you had coming in? JB, who did you look out for?
Carla Maria Bradley.
It was Carla, someone you predicted to do well.
Yeah.
Carla from Brazil.
Yeah.
In the end, it was. Can you put up the placings, JB? So in the end, Teresa won the Best Poster Award, and she won the show. I think it was with 1 point over Rashwana Boswell. And what's your take on that call, Trey? Because you were there. I was only watching on stream.
Yeah, I think with Teresa, she just has a very strong look, strong back. I think for her and the posing, the comparisons, I think you drew attention to her more from the back from Sheena. Sheena's got a beautiful look, beautiful shape from the front, good lines, tight waist. So that's a strong point. So I think from a lot of the front views, I can see Sheena Roshana actually placed in above. But once we turned to the back, even there was a little bit more depth in Teresa's physique from the side. So like the side chest, side tricep, Teresa had a little bit more depth, thickness. Could see a little bit more in the conditioning department in that. And then from the back, I feel like Teresa kind of took it over. So you could say like that, could see that 1 point difference being the matter of a pose, you know, for both of them. But yeah, both of them bring great packages, very different type of body types. So and that's the thing about women's bodybuilding, sometimes you get a wide range of body types that you have to compare. So even for the judges, it can be complicated because of course you could like one or prefer the other, but you know, it is at the end of the day, women's bodybuilding. So you definitely have to look at, you know, overall conditioning, overall size, symmetry, structure, everything, you know, so.
JB, what's your take on that call? You watched it on the stream. How did you think? What was your opinion on the Teresa Roshana fight?
I took it on the stream, yes, and yeah, I agree with Trey because it's. I think it was a little bit difficult also, yeah, in the recap, in the second view, and also you had some, I think, in the stream, in some scenes problems with the light, I guess, because the background was flittering around and some shadows were going on and so on. And yeah, I agree with this. It was not that easy to judge. Yeah, maybe it was right. Maybe it's not. Personally, I was a little bit disappointed because not of winning Teresa because of the other placings, but yeah, we never know.
We go back to that later placings later. I had it real close. Teresa had a more impressive back than Roshana, a lot more impressive.
Yeah.
But Roshana had legs also from the front, eh? She had some quad sweep going on there, didn't she?
Yeah, she had, yeah.
And she has a bodybuilding, more of a bodybuilding. She's round. I just think she was a little bit more complete that day, but I see the judging was real close. So, and I don't know, Roshana, she's already qualified to this Olympia, and as you know, Teresa needed that win.
Yeah.
So when it's that close, it's okay. But I think I had to be there to really. I think, to really see it because it's hard to see on the stream. To me, Roshana looked really, really good that day. So what do you think about Roshana's look then in second, Trey?
No, I mean, I think, like I said, I feel like, you know, it could have gone either way, but second with her, I mean, it sucks. I know she's been in second, third already this year. I know she was probably looking for the win. It being close by 1 point, yeah, I mean, you know, tomorrow you could say she could have been the champ easily and still would have been no argument, you know. But I mean, I feel like on the big stage, I feel like Roshana's look for the Olympia would be a good look, and I can see her being like a top 10 in the Olympia, just for what she carries on her frame. And I feel like that flow of what we're going to see on athletes is going to probably fit for her a lot better.
In third place, JB, we had Angela Rayborn.
Yeah.
She's competed a lot this season. I think this is her third show, I believe.
Yeah.
So she's been really putting in the work this season, even in Corona. I'm not sure what's her age, JB. Do you know her age or?
Not exactly, but she's in the end 40s, I think.
Okay, so this is impressive for women to compete this entire year. And she's always been in the mix in the top fourth, I believe. She's got some serious muscle going on there. What do you think about her look, Trey, in third?
No, actually, I've seen Angela compete a few times over the past years, and I have to admit this year has been a great year for her. She's always had size. She's always have a dense look. Her conditioning's gotten better. It's improved with each show. Even this lineup, I feel like third was a good spot for her. I feel like she earned that spot. She is definitely, what women's bodybuilding is. She holds the density. She has the conditioning. She definitely has muscle maturity. She's been doing it for a long time now. So I think third place was good, and I'm pretty sure I think she had plenty of points she's in the Olympia, right? I'm not mistaken. I think she made it by points.
No, she
did.
No, she didn't. The third. No, she didn't. It was I can't remember who was it. JB. The third people on points is Janine Lavkovsky.
Yeah. Janine, yes.
It's Rashana Boswell.
And Kim Buck. Is it?
And Kim Buck, yeah.
The third one. Kim Buck. Yeah. So she didn't make it, sadly.
Yeah.
In fourth, we have a really cool story, JB. This is a good story. Patty, what's her last name? We don't have
Patty Hansen.
Do you remember the last name, Trey? What?
Patty Hansen.
So Patty Hansen in fourth. She just won Miss International, the overall, on Friday or Saturday.
Friday.
Yeah.
She's prepped by she's prepped not competitors there, Trey. She's prepped by Brandon Ray. And you also had a good matchup with him in women's physique. We'll talk about that later. It was a proper battle of the coaches. But anyway, we had her in fourth. She looked good, brand new physique, good conditioning. She has a very feminine look. She looks great. What do you think about her in fourth? A surprise to me. I haven't heard about her before. What do you think about her, Trey, in fourth?
No, I mean, I was impressed. I've never seen her before, and of course, like Brandon's a great coach. So I mean, most of his athletes have always been spot on in terms of conditioning and things. So yeah, I mean, I was surprised. She was definitely someone that kept catching my eye throughout the show. I feel like maybe if because she was a new pro, it's kind of one of those things where maybe she could have placed higher if she was a veteran or someone who had been there. But I think I can tell like her look stood out. So, I mean, if she was definitely a fourth, I think she was a very solid fourth, possibly could have been higher probably in my opinion, based on what I saw. You would think how she posed, posed gracefully, good presentation. So yeah, she was one I kept looking at. So yeah, I mean, like I said, for her first pro show did amazing. But yeah, she's got a lot of potential and she's going to be moving up the spots next year, I'm sure.
What do you think about her, JB? Do you like her look?
Yeah, she's overall, she's extremely flawless. So she got the spot, I think, from my personal opinion. Sorry when I'm stumbling. I followed her since a few months on Instagram before, but Instagram is not that thing. But yeah. In that progress she made, this was well deserved that she got pro in that field. So, but fourth place, and because she had the balance, symmetry, lower body, upper body, and so yeah, went well.
Who was in fifth and sixth, JB? Remind me.
Okay, we have here on this. We have on fifth is Tina Williams. Yeah, Tina Williams.
And in sixth was.
And in sixth there was.
And in sixth was.
And Sheehan.
And Sheena, yeah.
And Sheehan, yeah.
So here is what I. So for me, Tina Williams is a really exciting athlete. She's prepped by, I think, Alina Popa, I believe. She takes up a lot of, what can I say? I like, in women's bodybuilding, I like girls who has a big presence on stage, that I like them a little bit taller, wider. It's more of a women's bodybuilding look in what I used to look at growing up, I should say. It's great frame, great width. He's got a good wide back. She definitely want to look out for the future, but I thought I was going to get even more condition for this show because after Savannah, she told the female bodybuilding channel she's going to come in a lot more conditioned and improved since Savannah. I'm not sure if that happened. But But I did notice that the girl in sixth, what's her name? What's her name again, JB? The girl in sixth, Anne Sharon.
Yeah.
She brought really good condition. She was really hard, and she's got great tan. She's very symmetrical. Tina has a little bit bigger upper body than lower body. Correct?
Yeah.
That placing 5th to 6th there, I'm not sure. What's your take on that one, Trey?
Honestly, for me personally, and I've known Sheena for a while. I've seen her compete on an amateur level. By far the best look she's ever brought. She's always had a very dense package stuff. I think with overall flow, balance, conditioning. I actually would have had her 5th for me personally in this show, and especially behind the 4th spot. I think she was a better fit. Tina, of course, she's a wow factor. She has a big back. She has a good stage presence. So I think for Tina, that's an advantage for her, because Sheena is a good bit shorter. So Tina, as far as that width and everything, does stand out a little more on certain poses and a little bit thicker. But I feel like Ann has overall a good flow, good look, good conditioning, great lines. Probably still, I would say, one of the most conditioned girls on stage in that group. So
yeah, agree. And I wasn't there, so don't take it personally. Tina Williams and Keith, her husband, just competed. Shout out to him, Keith Williams. Is it Keith Williams?
Yep,
it's Keith.
Yeah, a guy who's really been pushing it hard all these years with competing. Even though he doesn't always get the first call out, he still has the smile on his face, and he still comes back for more. And I really like this couple. But Anne looked really good, really good. So it is what it is. So out of the top 6, then it's a little bit more confusing. So, in my opinion, JB, you have to come in and correct me when I'm wrong. But in the first call out, we saw Sheena. That's your name, Sheena, correct?
Sheena.
They brought out Sheena and I think Carla first, but then they pushed them back. It was some type of mistake, they said. Then they added in West. Sawyer will look good, and I can't remember the last girl, but that's when I was a little bit disappointed, because I had both of these girls clearly in the first call out. How did you see it, Trey, when she went out and you was like, yes, and then they said, no, it was a mistake, you got to go back? What went through your mind?
It's one of those things where, because the funny thing, the same thing happened in Tampa when she did with Zeke, where they called her, she came out, went back, so she was a second call out, but then somehow she went back into first call out later on that show and ended up getting 5th. So I was kind of one of those things where I was kind of hoping the same thing was going to probably happen. But I have to admit, with this group of girls stuff, based on a lot of the dense, packages that Lottie was carrying, I do say I would have preferred, of course, she'd have been maybe at least up there at like that 6th, 7th spot. But it was close, and this being her first time doing bodybuilding, got a chance to kind of really compare a lot of these different, different body types and things. But I was still hoping that she would have at least squeezed into that top 6, that's even that 6th spot. But imagine like all the physiques in that second group was so different and varying. It was, it's like apples and oranges trying to pick who you like and who you prefer.